Welcome to CEWT Talk. This broadcast is brought to you by the Continuing Education Workforce Training Division of Idaho State University's College of Technology. This podcast is part of our continuing outreach efforts, and the format is conversational. We will be having conversations with businesses, professionals, entrepreneurs, community agencies, and, in all cases, difference makers. Now, let's get started with CEWT Talk.
Welcome everybody to the CEWT Podcast. I'm Gary Salazar, and I'm the Director for Continuing Education and Workforce Training. And this is CEWT Talk, Continuing Education Workforce Training, CEWT, and we're glad that you joined us today. Hey, joining us today is Stuart Summers, who's the ISU's Associate Vice President for Marketing and Communication. And welcome, Stuart.
Thank you.
This is going to be a fascinating interview for us because we do interface with the university's marketing team from time to time. But Stuart's been with us and brings in a tremendous background and a level of experience. So he's a pro at this. I'll make the mistakes. He'll smile, look good. And he'll make us look good. Stuart, thank you very much. Let's go ahead and begin with just a quick little intro. You've got a fascinating background, including having gone to school here.
I did. Yeah. Actually, we were just sitting in this room that was a core part of my education here in this television studio. But I first came to ISU 16 years ago and walked across campus for the first time and never thought that this would become home for the long haul. So it's a fantastic place, and I've been employed at ISU for about 9 years, working in community relations, marketing, public relations roles, and then most recently as the Associate Vice President for about 4 years.
Wow. That's a huge transition. It's
a
tremendous success story as well. I mean, somebody who comes into a program at a university, and then to see him coming back to the university, doing a fantastic job applying all the skills and the experience, and that's wonderful to see.
It's a fantastic place to be. So I feel like I'm grateful.
Very good.
Very blessed.
All right. Well, I've got a few questions, but just coming off of that a little bit. Did I see you previously at one point? You were in the community somewhere in the news networks?
I did. I worked at the NBC affiliate, KPVI, here in town, the Southeast Idaho NBC affiliate. I did that for about 4 years.
Right.
And 4 years, I anchored the morning show for a couple of years. And there's nothing like waking up at 2 a.m. to go to work. And it doesn't take long to realize you can't do that for a long time. So I did it for 2 years, and I finally was like, I have to get out of this. This is a rough, it's a grind waking up at 2 a.m., but it was one of the best jobs I ever had. Yeah. So fun, so incredibly fun.
Yeah, it really stretches you. And so, but one of your jobs here, and I got to tell you, one of your jobs here at the university was with the College of Technology, of which we were a part.
Yeah.
And your role was in marketing as well.
It was.
Yeah.
And I probably shouldn't admit this, but it was my favorite job. I enjoy my job now, but I feel like, working up at the College of Technology, that's where the rubber hit the road, and we got people through programs and great success stories.
Oh yes, gotta love that. And that is not an easy job. We just lost our current marketing director, so we're in the search for another one. He had a tough set of shoes to fill behind you. And one of the benefits for me was I got your desktop computer.
That is a nice one.
It went from you to the last director, and then he wanted to go with something different, so I inherited that.
It's a nice computer.
It died recently, sorry.
But,
but
it was a nice computer. Emphasis on was.
Was is good. All right, so you went from there, you became a part of the university leadership administration.
Yeah.
And you're enjoying that. You're doing
Absolutely.
a lot of great things with that.
Yeah.
Can you talk about some of the initiatives that you have?
Absolutely. I think the fascinating part, I come from a family of Bengals. My family's very loyal to Idaho State University. We've all been able to go out into the world and have these enjoyable, successful careers because of what we got at Idaho State. And so I think for us, and for me specifically, being able to see where ISU is right now is not only just for the university exciting, but for my family it's exciting. For the 120-year history of ISU, we've never been able to tell our story. We've never put an effort into telling that story. And so this is a chance for us to get out there and say, this is what we're good at doing at Idaho State University. This is what our successes are, and we want people to take notice. And so for the first time in our entire history, since 1901, we're actually out there telling that story and letting people know that this is what we're about, and these are the things that you need to know that we do really well at.
That is cool. That is cool. And we have some really cool initiatives going on now. I mean, when President Satterley came on board, there was a big push to let's unite this university
Absolutely.
as one university and strengthen that image. A lot of marketing that's happening.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that all over the place. By the way, if you don't watch football, it was not this past Sunday, the Sunday before, ISU, like one of those commercials, the
Absolutely.
roar commercial where the
Yep.
kids roaring in the background. That was on. It got a national attention. That was awesome.
Yep.
I mean, so a lot of good things are going on with that. Are you helping drive that?
Absolutely. So, when President Satterley came in, the first thing he did is, he walked through Swanson Arch, which is a tradition here at Idaho State University, walked up to his office, set his briefcase down, and then he came into my office and said, today we're going to start telling our story. And it's in a way that, we have so many great things, like I was just mentioning, that are happening, and we have to be more vocal about it. We have to own up to those successes. We have to, I don't want to say brag, but for lack of a better word, we got to brag about them. This is a great place with awesome achievements. And all of that centers on the why. Why are we here? We're here for our students. We got to tell that story of our students. And so President Satterley came in and said, we got to get a marketing campaign going, and we got to figure out what resources need to go towards that. And let's get rocking and rolling. And that was just about 15 months ago that we had that initial meeting, and within a month we were down that road trying to get commercials booked and talking about logos and colors and all those branding elements, and really trying to say, what is the tone that we want to tell? What's the story of ISU? What are the successes that people need to know? And that's where it all began.
Wow, that's great. Now I got a little side story in this conversation I want to tell you about, but the presence has really expanded. And I mentioned the national TV, but the brand, I mean, where we are in the RFC building, right across the street is Reed's Gym, and there's this giant, tiger staring at us that's on this. If you go down I-15 now and you go by the Performing Arts Center, there's ISU again. And so the branding's not just out, it's also here on campus.
Don't forget the eye.
The eye. And now
Absolutely.
we're going to get to the eye in a minute. I'm going to forget my spot on the story, man. Oh, yeah. So I was at a workforce training network meeting here now 2 weeks ago, and this was up in Boise. This is where all the different directors for workforce training from the other 5 tech colleges, we get together with state CTE, and we talk about, hey, here's what's happening, here's what we're doing. Wonderful learning experience. CSI, Brandy Termsey says, you guys, I see your brand everywhere. And she says, it's even on my credit card. She has an ICCU credit card, she pulls it out, and there it is.
Yeah.
So it's working, it's getting out. It seems like it's becoming very, very prevalent. And we just had homecoming.
Absolutely.
Great parade, great game, awesome outcomes with that. And all of this continues to reinforce itself. So from my perspective, I'm seeing it in lots of places. But what kind of feedback are you hearing?
Absolutely. So before we launched our this big marketing campaign, we're calling it our statewide marketing campaign. We did a perception survey because we wanted to know what the vibe was about ISU. We wanted to know what people thought about us, what they thought our strengths were, our successes. We did a number of listening sessions and focus groups and online surveying, and we spent probably a full 3 months just gathering data because we wanted to make sure that we were armed with the right information as we started out with this campaign. And what we heard was these success stories about programs and opportunities and the hands-on, activities that students are able to engage within their programs and within their majors. And it just seemed like we had all these great things that were firing, in these little areas, and how do we pull those all together? And so that's where this campaign came about. And as you mentioned, it's all about the roar. Roar is this marketing slogan and what we're centering everything on. And roar is one of those words that not only is in our fight song, Roar Bengals Roar, which has been our fight song for, dare I say, about 60 years, but roar is about take notice. When a tiger roars, it's making a statement, and that's what we wanted. We wanted to say, hey, we're making a statement. And if you weren't paying attention, you're going to pay attention now, because we are roaring. And so, like you mentioned, on the banners that are on these buildings, they have "Roar" in big bold letters. All of our campaign centers around, opportunities roar, imaginations roar, sciences roar, the arts roar. Everything is about to take notice. These are the things that we're doing well.
It's interesting you say that and put it in that kind of a perspective. When I was in another life, another career, I used to travel from San Diego to go up to Naval Air Station Alameda for some training. And I'd go through this town that has garlic as its preeminent industry. And they had this vet there. And I had a dog, and I dropped the dog off at this vet's office because they could keep him. And I didn't realize at the time, I heard they had a great reputation, but I didn't realize at the time that it was an exotic zoo as well.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so I'm walking up with my very rambunctious dog, and I hear this roar. There's a lot of barking and animal sounds beforehand, but suddenly there's this loud, low-throated roar, and everything got quiet.
Yeah.
I mean, people, everybody noticed the
Yep.
tiger that they had kept there. So it's kind of like the same thing.
Absolutely.
If you advocate for it, if you show what you've got, people are going to notice it.
Yeah.
So congratulations
Thank you.
for being a part of that.
Well, and it ties into our color. Our university color, which we adopted in 1927, is the color orange. And that's when we officially adopted it. And orange is one of those colors that is a color of attention. Think about everything that we paint orange. It's from traffic cones to construction signs. It's something that means progress, advancement, take notice, look out, be advised. Orange is just a color of energy. It truly is an energy color. And so as we talked about that brand, we said orange has to be at the center of this as well. Roar is the word, but orange has to be that visual element, and making sure that orange really is part of that storytelling. And so we've done a heck of a job of pushing out the color orange.
Yes.
And some people are saying, oh my gosh, you got to keep this orange, we got to mute this down a little bit. It's getting a little out of hand. But orange is our identity. And as we talk about branding, we talk about marketing, we have to have an identity that we can hang our hat on. And so we have orange, we have roar, and we say, orange isn't a color, it's an attitude. And we want that attitude to be known.
Right, and the new color is Rorange. Is that
Rorange, yes it is, Rorange. So and we have our very specific shade of orange. That it's a bright orange. It's not a subdued orange, a burnt orange, not a red toned orange. It's a very bright orange that you can't help but notice it.
Right. That's terrific, and I think all that complements what we want to do with learning, with research, with the training that goes on here. The more that we get noticed in that area,
absolutely,
the more attention we're going to get. The more people are going to want to say, "Hey, I want to be a part of that," or "I want to learn more about that," and that drives towards the success I think we want to see.
Absolutely, and we just wrapped up our first year of our statewide campaign, which included television and radio and billboards and streaming devices, social media, online digital. We have this heavy focus in this year one because we're trying to build that foundation of just general awareness about the university and starting to sprinkle in some of these highlights. This last month, we kicked off phase 2 of the strategic campaign, which will take us through next June. This one's a little bit more focused on some regions of Idaho, wanting to make sure that we're really hitting some of those population centers and areas where we've identified that maybe there's not as much knowledge about the university. It's still very much general awareness. We are trying to build that foundation right now. And if you look at our ads, and this is just kind of a little marketing side point, if you look at the ads and the billboards, the TV spots, you'll notice that there's not a specific call to action. It doesn't say enroll today, apply today, visit our website, call this number. All it is it's Idaho State University, ROAR. And there might be some facts and some figures and some of that storytelling, but there's not a call to action at the end of the ad, and that's very intentional because we want people to right now just have us at the top of their mind. It's top of mind awareness, and we're playing the long game. We have to do a good job of catching up, winning our backyard, and then as we move into phase 3 and 4 and go down the road, that's where we can start to be more specific and say, here's how we want to target people in a certain way and engage with them, and making sure that our alumni are proud and that the communities that we serve are aware of the services that we offer.
Yeah, that's what you just said really relates to some of the things that we're doing within CEWT. A couple items that we've kind of gone into. We've gone into health emergency medicine conference, mental health classes, the construction area. But we're not trying to do too much of the call to action.
Absolutely.
So much we're just saying, hey, here we are. And I think that goes a long ways to attract attention. You're not pushy about it, but you're saying, hey, this is a cool thing.
Yeah.
And when people begin to relate to that, they're going to look at you. They're going to look at you a lot more to say, I want to
be involved. Yeah, I want to get connected.
Yeah. Sorry, Paul, did you have a question?
Podcast is a good example.
This
Absolutely.
podcast is something, right, which is part of our effort to push out
Absolutely.
a little bit of branding for us, but it also brings in hopefully some interesting stories that are going on in the community. Sometimes they tie to a class or something we're trying to do, but we're enjoying it. And this thing is morphed too. Let me go back to something. Paul mentioned the eye.
Absolutely.
I cannot forget
Yeah.
the eye.
Yes. Yes.
What a cool thing now to see that over on Red Hill, we have this huge eye up there.
Absolutely.
Can you tell me about that? What was the initial?
Love to. This is one of my favorite things to talk about. It's been quite the grand moment, if you will, that we were able to celebrate just last week. Just 8 days ago, we officially celebrated the return of the eye. For 98 years, an icon sat on Red Hill. And it was a fixture of not only the university, but the region, and people throughout Pocatello could look up toward Red Hill and see this icon and be able to see what that meant. And when we went through and the last couple of years, my office has gone through old newspaper articles and talked to former students and alumni about the project, and it's amazing how many people, their memories of the university and their connection to Idaho State center with somehow that memory of the Red Hill Eye. We talked to an alumnus that her earliest memory, when she first arrived at Pocatello, she didn't know anyone. And she was, she had everything loaded in her car, driving here, trying to figure things out. And she didn't even know how to get to the university because she came off the exit, wasn't quite sure. And she looked up and saw the eye on Red Hill. And she said, that was my beacon that I just said, I know I've just got to follow that. And then since that day, she said it was a constant reminder of the progress she was making through her educational journey. So about 5 years ago, we had to remove the eye from Red Hill due to some erosion challenges. Initially in about the mid-1960s, they started experiencing some erosion challenges. So they knew that something needed to be done. But about 5 years ago, we had to remove it because of erosion, and there wasn't a plan in place at that time to replace the icon, bring it back, restore it, nothing like that. And I think that was what was discouraging for a lot of us alumni, myself included, of, here we have this icon for nearly a century, 98 years, and then to have it go away and no plan to replace it. And that was something President Satterley came in and within his first month said, we're going to bring that eye back. We're going to figure out how to make it happen. And we had a very generous donor step forward, Steve Rice. And Steve's father was our academic vice president, our provost, for a number of years and was an English professor here at ISU. And Steve's memories of the eye center around, him as a track student in high school, and he would come run on the track and he could look up and see the eye on Red Hill. And he and his sisters went to ISU and have these fantastic memories. His mother still lives here in Pocatello, and so he said, I want to do something that is memorable that would also impact my family, and he paid for the entire restoration of that project.
Wow. That's pretty generous.
Yeah.
But what a great story, too. If somebody who's come through here, and has experienced this place, this very unique place, and then gives back to it. I mean, and the donors are a big part of this university.
Absolutely.
I mean, we have donors everywhere. We have donors who are not local. We have donors who are in the community. We have people who have taught for us in different places. And it's so nice to hear and to work with several of them. We do that on occasion. We have a guy who used to work for us, Arlen.
Oh yeah.
He was a former
The history man. He knows all the history of.
He knows everything, and
He
he's now
does.
the president of the Pocatello Historical Society.
Yeah.
But people give back in so many different ways.
Absolutely. And it's not just about money, it's about, service
Yes.
and providing those opportunities to even just share your experiences because it helps the next generation.
It does. A lot of it is just setting the stage for other people to follow along.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some famous saying out there's a lot of these great things about, you plant a seed, you grow a tree
Yeah.
that provides shade to people you'll never meet.
Yep.
But that little
Absolutely.
seed is what started that. So a lot of the things that you're doing now that the university is doing now with the campaigns, with the strategic planning, sets that
Absolutely.
stage for later on. So,
And it's a long game. We're not going to be able to correct everything overnight, and we realize that. But we're playing the long game, and we're planting those seeds, knowing that years from now they'll become a shade tree.
yeah, and I like that. Everything to us is about try. Oh, yes, Brenda, you have a
I was
question.
just wondering if there were did you encounter any unique challenges in rolling out the new brand stuff?
Yeah, great question. I think anytime you roll out a new brand, there's a lot of uncertainty about what this brand is going to mean, and we have to remember that we have nearly 100,000 alumni. We have a couple thousand employees. We have currently about 12,000 students. You're having an impact on all of these people because the brand is part of their life. It's part of their story. Alumni hold on to their memories and the things that are important to them, whether it be a logo or a color or some of these things that they remember. And so when we were getting ready to roll out the brand, it was very important to us to make sure that we talked with all of our alumni and had a chance for these listening sessions to get that feedback. Because the brand isn't just about me. It's not just about a marketing agency that's telling us best practices say this is what you need to do. It was about what can our entire Bengal community rally around and get excited about. And that new Bengal head logo that we unveiled, at first I think some people were like, well, this looks a little too ferocious, but we wanted to make sure that mouth was open and it's a roaring mouth. And that mouth is, it's just funny because you look at it, the ears are back like it's getting ready to pounce. It's not just a playful Bengal like the other one with its ears straight up and down. It's a Bengal that's on the move, and that's what we're about.
Oh, geez. What a great response here. Stuart, I'm sorry, but we are done.
Time went quickly.
We have to stop this great conversation, so we'll cut it off at this point. I'd like to let this keep running here for a second. Stuart, one last thing, let you respond to, and we can put this back in at the end. Is there anything that we haven't covered that you really like somebody to know? Something about your office, about marketing the university?
Yeah, I think the one thing that would be important for people to realize is that communication is key to the university's success. It's important that people have the right information at the right time and through the right avenues, and we're communicating to alumni, we're communicating to students, we're communicating to faculty and staff, and every single one of these groups has a different way that they like to be communicated to. And so what we would like is anyone within that Bengal community, so we call it the Bengal community, and that includes everybody, to make sure that they're trying to connect with us in the way that works for them. Whether it's, we have monthly newsletters, we have print, we have social media, we have our website. Right. We want to make sure that we're connecting. And so that's one of my jobs as the Associate Vice President of Marketing and Communications, is making sure we're getting that communication out. And so anyone that's watching this, there's plenty of ways to connect with us, and we'd want to say, find the way that works for you, and let's engage and have a conversation.
Great last comment. Okay, I hope that answered your question, Brenna.
Yes, it did.
All right, hey, thanks. I'd like to remind everybody that this is Continuing Education Workforce Training, CEWT. This is CEWT Talk. We've had a great conversation with Stuart Summers, who is the Associate Vice President for Marketing and Communication here at Idaho State University. Tremendous job, a lot of outreach. Looking for feedback and connections anytime you can. Please reach out, look at the website. Come to our website. You can reach us at cetrain.isu.edu. Check through the past blogs, hit the newsletters, our podcasts. Let us know what you think. And again, to everybody, thank you for joining CEWT Talk.
Nice.